Hello out there to my amazing friends, clients, and the like. I'm Jonathan Bengal, host of Naked Tax Talk, where we get naked, babies, and we bear down to the naked truth about our personal, business, and tax lives. We come here as an opportunity to openly discuss and talk about the things that really do matter to us, not only as entrepreneurs, but as personal people. Yesterday's episode was about the power of no and what happens when we step into that and say, no more, mofos. I am who I am, and I'm standing in my power, and I refuse to be pushed back, shoved away, etc., etc. So before I continue on, though, I have an amazing guest. She's getting loaded right now. She's in the back end. She's getting ready to come on my show, and I'm super duper excited. But before I get there, I've got to let you guys know about my book. The ABCs of Deductions, an entrepreneur's guide to tax write-offs. And we are having a launch. We're launching it here pretty soon. I believe we're trying to push for June 30th, but good old me, I forgot two letters. Like, who doesn't know the alphabet? But I forgot two letters. I forgot the letter K, and I decided to write that on keeping records. And V for vehicles, also known as variables. And I say that because it's just too much to really truly put into a simple book like the ABCs of Deductions. And quite honestly, it requires someone like myself, a certified tax coach, certified tax planner, or an IRS enrolled agent to really truly guide you and walk you through the process. So all I can say is, first of all, shout out to my mom. I see she's watching. So hi, Mom. Nice to see you. I see Paige is watching. Hi, Paige. So, and I've got Michelle still loading up here in the background, and that's fine. So while she's doing that, let me do what I do's, which is let me stall some time. No, so let me just say that what I can share with you guys is this is the platform where we truly are being vulnerable and having an open discussion. And the reason why I show up basically naked is because it's a way that we can foster courage. Nakedness is about having the courage to be vulnerable. It's about the courage to be authentic for who you really are and how you really show up in this world. And so that's what this show is really about. Yesterday's episode was about the power of no. And I can tell you, when we step into that and we say, no, I refuse, amazing, beautiful things happen in our lives. And so I've got Michelle Weinstein. She's going to be joining me here right now. She's still gloating up. This is technical stuff live. This is what happens. And she is the founder of the Pitch Queen. So that should tell you everything. Yes, girl. Yes, she is the Pitch Queen. She's all about helping us, especially if you're an accountant out there, how to truly come alive, stepping into our power, forming our boundaries. She even has a secret sauce for that, in terms of what we can do as business owners to set those boundaries, which of course increases the value of who we are. And she also has a podcast called The Abundant Accountant, where she too has a show where she talks with amazing people who have made amazing journeys in their lives that have impacted people all over the place. And I want to call her in, but we're still working out technical stuff. I believe, let me see, let me test this. Let me test. Oh, yeah. So we're still working it out. That's okay. She'll get here.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
She got disconnected again. The live. This is what happens when you do things live. By the way, I will tell everybody, you are seeing that I am wearing a heart monitor. Yes, this is what's going on. It's just because I'm getting to be 40 years old, believe it or not. I know, good genetics, good genetics. And doctors want to rule out the heart, they want to rule out the lungs, and they want to make sure that I'm going to live for another decade or two, or three, or four, or 100 of them. I don't even know. So anyway, so that's what we're up to. We're still gonna get her on here. I know we're gonna talk about this. I'm gonna tell you right now, before she gets on here, and she already knows this already, but Michelle changed my life, like completely, ultimately changed my life. Now, she's partners with another amazing woman named Dominique, the founder of the CTC program. And between those two women, they have radically changed my life. And so without further ado, I got to bring her on. So get in here, Michelle. Let's bring you on to my show.
Can you hear
Welcome.
me?
Hey, are you shirtless? Yes.
No, I'm not.
Yes.
I have a
Hey, tank
shirt.
tops work. Tank tops work. That works for me.
I mean, I was gonna show up in my robe, but I was like, I haven't showered yet. So
What could be as bad as me? I'm kind of shirtless, basically. So,
oh
oh, oops,
gosh.
sorry, naked. So, Michelle, welcome to my show.
Well, thank you for having me. How
Yeah,
fun is this?
this is freaking cool. So, where are we coming from? Like, tell me a little bit. Well, first of all, pitch me, girl. Pitch me. You're the pitch queen. Yes.
Well, I've learned that StreamYard you can only use on Chrome. So I just learned that. And what else? It's just another beautiful day in paradise. We've got an 8-week sales mastery training starting. So if you're one of Jonathan's accountant friends,
Yes.
ask him about that and he can fill you in. What else?
Well,
Just a lot of enrollment calls.
this. I'm gonna tell you guys right now. She is a go getter. Like she's all about action. And if you
Yeah.
want to take your business to the next level, people, it's all about action. It's all about taking the next step, right? Like that's the truth. Your sales program. She's offering this sales program. You said it's 8 weeks. It's an eight week program, right?
You took it.
I did. It is 8 weeks. It was freaking phenomenal. Listen, you
It
guys
was
out
eight
there,
weeks, even
eight
though it
weeks.
felt maybe a little shorter or longer. I'm not sure which one.
Well, COVID was kind of happening, and there was
I
some
know.
craziness that was going on in there. Let's be real; it was like unprecedented time.
COVID has presented itself a lot of opportunities though for a
Oh
lot of
yes,
people.
yes.
And it's all about how we see things and how we thrive and move forward and flourish and prosper and grow. So yeah, I have an 8-week sales mastery training starting on the 30th. So I've been having calls for that. And Jonathan was a star student, follows all the steps, has what have you created from that in your business?
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna tell you right now, for my accountant buddies out there, quite honestly, hell, even if you're an entrepreneur and it's all about the sales, let's be real, right? It's about sales a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I love to toot about you is that I legit ended up with a product. And in fact, hold on just un segundo.
Un segundo.
Okay, so like this, like check this out. This is what you get. Well, I kind of created it, but this is what you end up with is a binder that is like honestly, like look, I just had to reach over and grab it from my desk. Like honestly, it sits right here on my desk or it sits right over
Yeah.
here. And what Michelle did, see, Michelle, you gave me one of the many missing components to the puzzle of what I am trying to do so I can create another 6-figure company or another 7-figure company, right?
Yeah.
Like you were probably one of the most important pieces to the puzzle. And what I mean by that is well, you could talk about this, the importance of essentially the creating this right here, the binder that
Yeah, if you don't
basically teaches us. Tell us a little bit more about this.
well, if you don't have a process, I mean, you can share your experience. What was it like before you made your
Oh,
binder? I mean, you're your author of your own. It's like, Jonathan, when you speak, right, and you share your story, you're your author of your own story. Well, every business owner listening, be it your clients or your accountant buddies, you're your author of your firm. So one of the biggest things I've come up against when I'm working with a new accountant is they think they need to spend money on marketing and leads. That's typically what we think. I need more leads. I need more leads. I need da. I'm like, I would actually stop spending money on marketing and leads unless you had one of those binders,
yeah.
unless you had a process on the front end. Because I don't know. Were you spending marketing dollars on leads before, Jonathan?
I have yet to spend money on marketing leads.
Yeah, like you don't need to. That's my point. So actually, I spoke to two gentlemen this week who I don't know if they're going to enroll in class or if they're going to wait or what their plans are. But they thought they needed to do marketing. They thought they needed leads, and that's like for you as a business owner or an accounting firm owner, I would really think twice about that because until you can enroll at like if you have a service-based business, enroll at fees that you feel confident that you can charge and also back up with your knowledge. And number two, you're not charging what you think they can afford. And it sort of feels a little uncomfortable because you're like, wow, like someone really paid me, $30,000 or for my knowledge and for my services, so many of you are smart, right? Like, I
Yes.
mean, you're a CPA, you have your MBA, you have a master's degree, and you have all this stuff, and you should be paid for yet that knowledge. That's a lot of school. And
Yes.
if you're one of Jonathan's accountant buddies, then you have CEs that you have to complete every year,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you need to get paid for that. And
Yep.
so that's what I think about leads. Like, if you're going to waste $500 to $1,000 a month on marketing and leads, to be honest, it's a waste of your time and a waste of your money, because you're not going to get the quality you're looking for. And if you won't be able to convert at a high rate. And I'm not talking close everybody because you're so cheap. I'm talking
Right.
about convert the leads that you really want at the highest price possible, so you're the most expensive.
Yeah, and the most valuable. I mean,
Yeah,
right?
most
I mean, that's
valuable.
what it's about.
I mean, when you go to Louis Vuitton or Gucci, do you leave there like spending more money than you did at Macy's?
Typically,
Probably, but
yeah.
you know, my okay, here. So my YSL bag right here, right? Like, it's my
Yes.
favorite bag. But I rather spend more on quality. It's
Yes.
going to last a long time, right?
Yes.
Like, Jonathan's binder is
Ah,
quality. He put in tons of
it's my
work to
purse.
make
It's my
it.
purse. Okay, I'm just saying.
It is. It's your purse. And I've edited your purse, and I've looked at all the seams in it, and
Yeah,
I've
you
made
did.
sure that the wires are really, really good. And
Yes.
so that no one can break Jonathan's chain.
Yep.
It's locked in,
That's
just
it.
like that.
That's it.
So if this analogy helps you, think about that, because spending money on marketing and leads, if you don't have the front end process, I don't have an example for that.
Well,
It's like this. It's like my trash bin. You might as well put your money in my trash bin, and I will save it for you and give it back to you once you have your sales process figured out. So
you're absolutely right. And what's so funny about this is that, like I told you before, like, you were one of the many missing components to what I'm doing, right? To what I'm trying to accomplish. And that is to be one badass tax consultant. Let's be real. That's what I'm
yeah, at least
chasing,
you know what
chasing
you're
the dream.
doing. I can help you as long as you have the knowledge. But that's why I love working with accountants, and it was so fun. And Jonathan, like, you did your homework, you showed up, you did all your stuff. So
She
yeah,
does
no,
have homework. I'm gonna tell you guys, she does have homework. But it actually paid off, because I was a nerd anyways. Let's be real. I was a nerd in school. I was one of those teacher pets. Like, that was me, the 4.0 kid practically. Like, that was me, the honors kid. Right? So it makes sense that I would go, teacher. Oh, let me please my teacher. Right? Let me.
yeah.
So what she did, by the way, I told you, like, phenomenal. So I'm gonna tell you, she helped me to really truly identify the avatar, right? The ideal client. And I think all of us, when we start out as entrepreneurs, we're chasing, like, I got to pay rent. And so we kind of like forget that we've got to figure out who we want to offer our services to. And so in a way, you kind of help step back and say, well, first, who's the person that you want to attract? And I like to say, who you want to sleep with. That's kind of the same thing. It's like, who's your ideal person,
Yeah.
right? Do they want to be
Yeah.
hunky? Like, first of all,
Who do you want to date?
yeah, like, what's your ideal type of guy, for example?
Mine?
I know my type. Yeah, what's your type?
Oh, well, I mean, my type's my boyfriend. He's
Yeah.
amazing. Smart, intelligent, funny, handsome, a gentleman. We love to do the same things. Our values align. I mean, he's like the full-blown picture.
There you go. And each time you were dating people, did you have that in mind of who you wanted?
Yeah, I have a list of the characteristics that I was looking for, just like you all have a list of what types of clients that you want to work with.
It's
very
true.
important. Yeah. And then when we met, we actually did a vision board.
Yes.
And I actually did a vision board prior to us meeting.
Wow.
Yeah. And I so when you do a vision board, I really believe in them. I did it when I pitched on Shark Tank. I've done a lot of vision boards. And when you do a vision board, you get to visualize. It's like, even if it takes 3 or 4 hours to make it, you're thinking about it. And it's almost like when you get a new car, right? Like, I'm like Dominique, I got a Tesla. So we both have a Tesla. Now everywhere I go, all I notice is Teslas. I was driving on the freeway and there were like 4 around me, right? So you start to notice that. Well, the same thing happens when you make a vision board for your business or for your relationship. So I had made one for, like the business, for the Abundant Accountant, for the podcast. And then I also made one for my relationship. And then I met Leo.
And there you go. And the whole time you had to go to plenty of people you had to go through to get to the ideal person that you want to be with. It sells the same way, right? I mean, it's truly like you're trying to attract that one particular client to create the ultimate partnership.
Right. And honestly, you don't need marketing to do that. Like
No.
it's doing stuff like this is, how we've been able to grow and, for me, help more accountants, like really. Okay, Jonathan. So what are like 3 things after our 8-week sales mastery training that really turned around in your business? And also talk about dollars, like revenue wise.
5 hours? No, I was kidding.
No, I think, how long do we go for on this thing?
Oh, as long as we want to, honey bunnies. That's the thing. I have my own rules. I don't adhere to a strict hour. Although when I'm talking about myself, I do. But when I have guests, Jacob. Jacob, by the way, he's an accountant and he is my type. Let me tell you, skinny, white guy, smart, intelligent, yum, yum, yum. And of course, I have my husband. He'd be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're saying that." But anyways, but yeah, so like they definitely Jacob, you already know this, or I love to flirt with this guy. But anyways, so like someone like Jacob, for example, I don't know if we're going all this jazz. Oh, the stuff I learned. Well, I was going to tell you about Jacob. So him and I, we close out this show 3 hours is redonkulous. Like he's like a natural, like it was great. The point about all this stuff is, what about the sense? Just don't beat me. Just don't beat my time. Thank you. Needless to say, so what I learned. So in terms of okay, girl, can I get an amen up in here? So, Michelle, when I first met you, I was still very confused about what the hell I was doing in terms of tax planning. Like I was still figuring out what I was learning as a public speaker and as an author now, and all the other fun stuff, how tax planning fit into all of that, because it's not your traditional product. It's not your traditional coaching program. It's not typical. And it's so radically different that it truly has its own value. And so I was charging, before I met you, I was charging what I now call my tax optimization analysis, by the way. It's not what I call. And originally I was calling it the application, and I was charging just a measly $500. So I met you and you're like, girl, raise that price up. It needs to come up to like $900, $1,000, like give yourself a raise. And so I was like, okay, fine. So overnight, boom, next new price is $1,000, right? Yeah. And I was nervous as hell. And part of the big thing that you truly did for me too, not only did you help me identify who is my client, that was really important. By the way, it's a woman entrepreneur or an LGBT owned entrepreneur that are Schedule C filers. They're not corporates. They're not S corps. They're Schedule C filers, or they're single member LLCs. That's who I want to work with, because that's who I want to have the greatest impact with. You helped me identify that. That was so massive.
And that's pretty specific, right? So
very specific.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge.
Then you had me write my mission, because I love it. Because today I had a sales call, by the way, and yes, girl, we closed because I'm telling you in a minute. I'm going to give the tea in just a sec. So you said to me, this is what you tell us. I hope you don't mind if I'm spilling the secrets a little bit, but you say to us, you could eat an hour to prep. Girl, you are right. Like I have tried doing a deal where I had like a 5-minute prep time, and I'm like, and you were like, no, you need that hour. It makes sense. You need the hour to prep for. And she has a whole system, by the way, how you prep for that hour, which is why you have to take her 8-week course.
Do you think like Prince would go on stage and do a concert without warming up his voice and doing like a warm up and prep and getting ready? Do you think any, Simone Biles, the gymnast, do you think she just shows up and does her floor routine? No. Like any one of us has to show up and be prepared. Yes. And I would say our warm up is an hour, It's just not a physically, it's not warming up our vocal cords. It's not warming up our legs, our flexibility. Our warm up is is working on how, your mindset and getting prepared to really embark on a new journey and help somebody like your new client you got today. Tell me about that. Like, what'd you help them with?
Oh my goodness. So what Michelle helps you do is she has a formula that she teaches you. And and I've heard this many times different ways by different coaches and stuff like that. But you really help me to really hone in on the way in which we propose the question to the person that's engaging with us. And naturally, you're not trying to make us robots, right? Like follow exactly like that's not your thing. It was more about these are the things and the steps that you have to take through the journey with the client while you're talking with them. Because here's the dealio, Milio. Accountants, specifically, I'm talking to you. Accountants are notorious for, oh my gosh, okay, so tell me about your tax returns. Oh yeah, well, I did my 2000. Is that a Schedule C? Oh, I noticed that you missed the home office deduction. Oh, I noticed you missed this deduction. Oh, why weren't you a Schedule C? Why weren't you a corporation? Why didn't you form this? Why didn't you do that? If I were you, I probably would go and make sure to deduct that deduction for next time. Meanwhile, the whole time, the client only wants to pay you $100 to file the fucking return. That's kind of what we do. And thanks to you, Michelle, thanks to Dominique and many others, it's because we're so desperate to be loved and seen as an expert in what we do. And so we think that sharing all of this, showing you my underwear in the get-go is going to make you want to sleep with me. That's kind of like what it is, right? And you're like, JB, cut that out, please. That ain't happening, right? It's going to be like high level, it's truly, if I may, it's truly about their desires. It's about their dreams. When you started teaching me that and realizing that, yes, it's about the tax return. Yes, it's about the accounting. Yes, it's about, but it's really about their dreams and their desires and how we fit into that to support them. Am I right?
It's 100% accurate. I'm glad what you learned has stuck.
Yeah.
So Jacob, you're going to have to book a call with me. So you can do that at theabundantcall.com. Okay. And we can I can go into details and we can get to the truth of what's going on in your firm.
I have to tell you guys, this is what she does. You see, and I learned from her. You see how she did that? Michelle, this is your superpower. Your superpower is like, engage them, and I want to talk to them. Take action. This is what I love about you.
Yeah, and if you're like, I don't want to talk to you yet, you can learn some of the basics that Jonathan's talking about at the 5stepsToAbundance.com, because this is what he's talking about is abundance. He hasn't spent any money on marketing, on leads. He's helping people. You got a new client today. What'd they pay you?
$2,900.
$2,900. So it's that simple. It's just we make it so overly complicated. And so I'm going to make it simple for you, easy to digest. You can lay in your bathtub and read and listen to this stuff. And over time, it'll sink in, but if you're really serious and you want to just nip this in the butt, because Jonathan, you actually waited quite a long time from the time we first met. He wanted to put our relationship on the slow path. Okay.
I did. I totally did. I totally put it on the slow path. I really did.
He's like, no, you're not really my type. Like Jacob, he's your type. You would have jumped on top of him. I wasn't his type. And then after a year, I became his type. And then,
by the way, Jacob's interacting with you. He's playing with you. So I'm just letting you know he's interacting. I'm an attorney and a lawyer, and I'm learning my favorite work is the stuff that my team does. This is he's an amazing tax attorney, actually.
Tax attorney. Oh, you'll love this, Jacob. Yeah, love it.
Jacob would benefit from this, and many other people would truly benefit. You're right. You were not my type. I was taking it slow, but here's the thing. You came at me kind of hard. Like I was like, oh shit. Like I wasn't, but my life personally has never been easy, and I'm okay with that. Like I accept that about my life. I had to first be shown by universe what is possible. That's when I met my first coach, really, truly, like when I engaged my first paying coach. I had to see what it was like to be in the limelight, to be able to be loved and accepted all on stage and share my knowledge. Like I had to taste that right? And then work backwards. This is the reality. I had to work backwards because then I met my other coach, Iman, who taught me the art of inspirational speaking and motivational speaking. And I'm like, people will pay you to be motivational. What? And then as I shared with you, I came to you because I'm like, Michelle works. By the way, who is your ideal target audience? You just said it already, but tell me again, who are they?
Well, since Jacob's here, a tax
You're talking
attorney,
to you, Jacob. Listen up.
an accountant, okay, a CPA, an enrolled agent, a high-level bookkeeper, someone offering profit first. You're already like, okay, I'm done with the commodity type work. I see that, you know, AI and robots are going to take over the regular just tax returns, and you want to truly be a consultant and you want to do that high value work. You've had a firm of some sorts on your own for at least 2 years, which means you have people, you have referrals coming in, you have maybe a lead or two a month, but you have a whole bunch of people that you've never followed up with that, you know, or you've met with them. Like, I don't know, Jonathan, if you met Scott, but Scott just never followed up. He had all these people, he'd meet with them, and then they would just go into outer space. And he met with 5 of them on my clock in the class. Like, he wasn't in your class, and he did like over 100,000 in revenue just from 5 engagements that we just reached back out to. So, you know, I would say that you're willing to put all of your marketing spend on hold, or advertising, or whatever you call it, and that you know that leads isn't the problem. The problem is conversions and not having a proper process. And you're willing to get to the truth of really what are some of the next best steps. Because like you said, you know, Jonathan wasn't ready when we first met. No problem. A year later, he was. So I clearly follow up.
She's a follow-up queen. I think that's going to be your next thing. The follow-up. She really
queen.
is.
We can talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's important too, isn't it? It's important. If you don't water your roses, if you don't water your plants, they will die.
Yeah, my boyfriend and I, we have rosemary growing right now. We have chocolate mint. We have mint. We have basil. We have like a little garden. We were talking about putting like a herb wall garden up. And following up is no different than watering your garden, your plants.
It is. It's true. It really is true. You're absolutely right. You know, and well, I will admit, like, I get a little timid about following up. That's the crazy thing. I don't know where that is, but I've gotten over that mental block. I've worked with psychologists.
You feel like you're a burden, and you feel like you're
that is the comment. That is the original feeling, is that you feel like, oh, you know, I don't know if I want to engage.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see comments too, by the way, Michelle. Anytime you want to.
I see them.
You see Jacob. Now we're going to fight because Jacob and I flirt a lot. But yeah, so he's telling us I'm a tease. He likes to flirt. He loves to tease me. That's the thing. That's what these boys do. They love to tease me, and I'm okay with that. But yeah. But anywho's, by the way, Frank was my very first tax manager when we used to work at the same tax firm years and years ago, back in 2005.
Wow, cool.
And he is, I believe, Frank, I think you're still the director of international tax for KPG, or whatever that big firm is.
KPMG. KPMG.
That's it. She knows it even more than I do. KPMG. So this guy has also been there for me. He actually taught me a lot about what it is that I do today. That's the honest truth. What is it, Jacob? Profit first. Hate that system. Maybe it's because of how we utilize it correctly, or maybe it's a coaching issue. Who knows? By the way, my mom's my biggest fan, by the way. So she says, miss you. I miss you too, Mom. Needless to say, yes. So, all right. So it's about it's a follow-up, right? That's so key. By the way, I also want to let you know that I really want to talk about this, if I may. So yesterday's episode was the power of no, and how important that is to say no. Believe it or not, and I mean in terms of the entrepreneur who's saying no to a client that wants to undervalue their proposition, or to a client that wants more services but to pay them less. You know, it's about saying no. And I want you to know that you helped me to get there when you talked about your red rope policy.
So
And
how many people do you say no to a month now, do you think?
I said one to yesterday, actually. It was a person I proposed to them something new. Actually, I didn't quite technically say no. This is how I handled it. I proposed to them the value and the value exchange, and they turned around and they essentially sent me back a request saying to pay me less, but they still want the same amount of services.
Yeah, no
And
thanks.
no, thank you.
So
So
how did you say it nicely? Because I'm sure Jacob wants to know, how do you turn down a client in a professional way?
actually, I called him because he's actually my one of my counsels. So, but what the way I handle it is I just simply said thank you for considering my services. And it's our company policy not to reduce our prices. I hope you understand it's not personal. Just let me know what direction you want to move in.
Yeah,
Left it at that.
great. And if you know, you could also provide 2 referrals. You know, if we're not a good fit, I've also know Bob and Joe. They're really great, and maybe they'll work for you for cheaper. But if you're looking to buy just based off price, then we're probably not a good fit anyway.
Yes.
You can say
Yeah.
that.
I mean, that's that. Well, we're not there. We're not technically at that bridge yet because I left it. I put the ball back in their court.
Okay.
I'm willing to do the work. I'm just not willing to be devalued.
Correct. Yeah. But again, if they're looking for a discount or a deal or they want a lower price,
Oh, I'll
if
give them
that's,
referrals to people.
yeah, you can give them referrals, or you could say something like, you know, if price is really the only thing that's that's going to help make this decision, you know, maybe you take responsibility. I'm sorry if I didn't explain my services properly and the value that I bring, and our week, you know, our monthly meetings, and really being on top of it. But if that's the case, I apologize. And to be honest, for those who are really just looking for like the best deal or the price, I'm actually the most expensive. And you know, we're probably not a good fit to work together.
I love it. I love it. And by the way, that's the other thing. That's one of her other secret sauces that she serves up. Yes, yes, and yes. The other secret sauce she serves up. So she helps you to step into that power of boundaries. She helps you to recognize that you can have boundaries as an entrepreneur. Because,
Yeah.
Michelle, you know this as much as I do. Us small business owners, you know, we're so desperate for love. That's the honest truth, to be liked, that we're willing to take a lesser offer for our value, and then we end up in crazy situations. And so
Yeah, we're
when you
not happy, and then we're miserable doing the work, and it's like, no, I'm okay, gracias. And to be honest, if that's really the truth, Jonathan, of why they didn't want to really work with you, it's a gift. It's this like energy gift that you're getting from someone when it doesn't work out. So for example, I mean, I always take a stand for people where I really want to help them. So I had 2 calls for sales class this week. You know, I think they want to talk to other people, but ultimately for them to really move past the thing that's been holding them back, they're going to have to stop the marketing. And, you know, I'm not going to lower my fee. It is what it is.
it is what it
But
is.
I can promise you that your ROI is going to be very high. You know, that's a pretty much for sure, as long as you do the work and you show up to class. If you
I've
don't
been,
show up to class and you don't do the work, then you're not going to see an ROI, and we're definitely not a good fit. But, you know, some people, that's just their nature. And, you know, it's my nature sometimes too. I love like Nordstrom Rack.
mhm.
But I like it because I can find a bunch of weird stuff that I wouldn't find at the normal store. But I still like YSL, and I always look for quality. And, you know, how do you build a relationship over a long time? I have a very good relationship with my YSL bag. We're going to be together for a very long time. The clasps on it aren't ever going to break. And think about that bond that you have with these people. And if they only want a discount from you, then, you know, they're not seeing the full potential in you, and you don't need them as a client, because that's not going to feel very good, and you want to feel good with your clients.
You nailed it. It's kind of like the guys that just want to hit it, tap it, and leave. It's the same. It's the same thing, right? It's transactionary. It's just like hit it, tap it,
Yeah,
leave.
it is
Who wants
transactionary.
to
That's
do
for
that? Nobody wants to do that. Most of us really, truly, genuinely want a long-term value relationship with somebody. I mean, that's
yeah.
what we're all really chasing. But yeah, so that's what she did. So she creates these boundaries, and I was like, girl. So I turn around.
How do you type a comment in here? Can you type?
I can.
Um,
I can. You can't type in comments on your end.
but I was thinking you could put like the 5-step www.the5stepsToAbundance.com. If
Five
you
FIVE.
either way, it takes you the same place.
Okay.
5 steps to abundance. And then the other one is, for those who are in alignment with this, you can go to theabundantcall.com and then you'll chat with myself or Denise.
I love it.
So
And Denise
those
is
are
an
the,
amazing partner, by the way.
yeah, she's awesome. We complement each other very well.
Okay, where else I can go? www. We did the five.
Theabundantcall.com.
Theabundantcall.com. I'm putting that in there.
Okay, cool.
So I will chat for you. Don't you worries. By the way, since we're going to monitor the chat line just for a second, let me see. Let me back up. Oh, Jacob. Okay, so let's see what you got to say now. All right, I have a list of people who are professionals. So I send my problem PCs. Yeah, these are problem clients basically. From one point of view, what I have discovered is that the client that is the problem is a result of them not valuing who we are. I mean,
and it also could be that they're a problem because you didn't have a good process in place.
That's true.
So
and by the way, hello.
Yeah, exactly. So, for example, like before, Jonathan, you would show up to a client meeting 5 minutes before. We also have to look at where we're going to take responsibility, because if we just show up, loosey goosey, no process, then you're no different than the other CPA, that they just met with. So how do you create a unique experience?
You have to.
And that's really what I'm talking about.
You have to. And by the way, I've tapped into what so I used to be a teacher. I have a master's in education, and one of my
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, now you know. So my master's is in education, secondary, and so I taught 7th grade, 9th grade, and 12th grade English, of all things, not math. And later on, word got out that if you wanted to have an amazing time in English, you had to go have Mr. Bengal as the teacher. So they would call it the Bengal experience. And so what I've now typed, because by the way, I'm being rebranded. So I have a whole new company that's coming out. JonathanBengal.com is coming out, and it's being rebranded, and it's me, right? It's ultimately me. And then of course we know it's all the other crap underneath it. I shouldn't say crap because it's not crap. It's amazing jewels. And needless to say, so I'm now using that. It's the Bengal experience. And in fact, thanks to you, because you helped me get the confidence, which raises value, with your process, I was able to have an amazing sales conversation. Today marks the day that I had the most amazing natural sales conversation. Because before, right, naturally, like I'm learning how to ride a bike with you, right? That's what you gave me. You're like, here's a bike, go ride it. And I was kind of like,
you're taking the training wheels off the back.
Yeah, I took the training wheels off today. And what I know, it was so freaking cool. And so what I was like, I kept, I asked them very important questions, and you do a good job of teaching. She has a whole analogy. She calls it her onion. And I made sure to just keep on, taking the onion and just peeled it away like you talk about. And I did it my way, right? Of course. And it was such a beautiful experience. And here's another testimony to this. This is freaking phenomenal. I've been told before, don't show up naked on your show. You're not going to attract the right client showing up this way, right? Don't be so la 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 with yourself, because people won't come do business with you. They won't take you serious, right? Well, au contraire, mon amis, because this particular client, she says to me, I was looking for an accountant. I stumbled upon you at a Facebook thing, and I was intrigued by you. And so she did some research.
She liked you. Right? She liked your personality, and you're smart. Shoot, that's a double
triple threat. So she turned around, and so she was like, oh yes, I want to get started, right? And I'm like, whoa, girl, whoa, we got to first do an assessment. We first got to do a couple things, right?
You want to take her out to dinner?
Yeah, normally it's the other way around. Normally I'm the one's like, when do we get started? Let's do this right now, right? So it was a lot of fun. But you gave me that confidence. You gave me the confidence, and then you did something freaking phenomenal. In fact, I will tell you that in the beginning of my book, it should be the table of contents, but it's actually the objection formula that's in the front
Yeah.
of the book. Because I discovered that in the process of bringing on clients, like you said about the conversion and stuff, part of that is having to overcome the objections. And you honestly helped me to see what is an objection and when does it
Yeah.
arise. And then more importantly, babies out there, listen up. She taught me how to overcome it in a very natural way that is really from a place of compassion. It's really
Yeah.
from a place of heart. It really is a place about caring. And it's really a place about, how do we really truly deliver and make your dreams come true? And Michelle, you shared this in the course. You said, look, if someone ultimately objects to you, 2, 3 times, whatever, you're gonna let them be, right? It's what you gotta do.
Yeah.
But what you shared is this. At the end of the day, they're saying no to their dream. And I'll tell you this true case, right? I had an amazing experience with someone that I met, and they shared with what they wanted, and their dream was to literally eat the cake and have it at the same time and put no weight on, right? Like that's the analogy I can. You know how this
Yeah. It's
counting
not
shit
going to
works.
happen.
So let me tell you as well. I do the analysis, because we're geniuses, as we do, right? We go and run the numbers, do. And I come back and I literally am saying at the end of this, I am helping you to realize your dream. And by doing so, you will reduce your tax bill by $159,794. You're still going to do everything you want to do. All I
Awesome.
want is a piece of it. That's all, right?
It's great.
Well, unfortunately, no is the answer. And that's okay. Because at the end of the day, like you taught us, they're saying no to themselves and not no to us. They're
Yeah.
saying no to themselves.
And when you can see it from that point and you don't sound desperate for that client, and you can really just, be you and be content with, some are going to be want to work with you and some are just not going to be a good fit. And when you can just part ways and again be committed to the outcome and the results for them, but ultimately if they're going to say no to their dream, then wish them nothing but the best. That's all you can do. You
That's
can't change anyone, right? It's like someone with that knows they can't be drinking alcohol, right? They need AA. You can't make someone do that. They have to want it inside. They have to want a new life. And for someone who's going to take that step forward to work with you, it's the same process. It's not any different. And all we can do is show people and guide them down a path and have a conversation with them. But ultimately, they get to choose a decision that they feel good about. And if they feel good about not changing their dreams and just staying and paying more to the government, by all means, if that's how it is, great, you
yeah.
know. And people have been through a lot. There's a lot of things probably in an hour and 2 hours with a client that you're never going to learn. So
That's
you also have to take what you're hearing just at face value.
you really, you really do. Because and here's the thing, right? We can't get caught up in the guilt of them saying no, right? It's like, oh my gosh. So, because this is what we used to do. This is what we used to do, right? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Okay. At least do me a favor and go form an S corporation, right? Or whatever the case. Because again, out of desperation, we're trying to keep that client in our bucket.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and don't and that's not going to probably solve their problem in the big scheme of things. So why waste your energy when you could give that energy to someone who sees you as the full package, right? It's like your relationship analogies. Do you want someone who's like 1 foot in and 1 foot out, or just wants 70% of you, 75%? No, you want someone that my boyfriend and I, he always talks about, he's like, I want it with all the things, like the good, the bad, like whatever. It's all the things. It's everything, because you're not, I was just talking to a girlfriend about this too. Like if you're having something going on or it's not going great, you got to let us know. Well, with your clients, it's the same thing, but they're not going to share everything with you in an hour or two period.
No. I know something about my talk show, and that is it takes about 20 to 30 minutes of foreplay, and then you start getting into serious topics. Like this is This is what I know about my show. So I have a question. I have a burning
A
yearning question.
abundant accountant. That's so funny.
You saw
I
that,
didn't
right?
even
Isn't
think
that
about
hilarious?
that, Jacob.
You got to cash in on that. This is like the universe giving you some marketing material. Speaking of which,
Yeah, clearly.
you know what you could say is accountants do a terrible job of constantly drinking too much Kool-Aid, of giving away too much information. So
They need AA,
they
the
need
abundant
AA.
accountant. This is great.
They need AA.
That's
Uh,
so funny.
that's the honest truth. So I have to ask you, Michelle, what was there ever a time in your life where you didn't have those boundaries and that you kind of like find yourself creating those boundaries, and how did you get there? Because I do call you the boundaries queen too, by the way, because you're very good at.
Yeah. It's a good question. I mean, I think we all loosen up our boundaries at times, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And then we learn the lesson the hard way. And I think I loosened it up in like my last business or in relationships or like dating. I'll be like, oh, well, everything's so great except a few of these things. And then, so I call that when you're loosening up your tightrope. Like if you're walking on a tightrope across the Niagara Falls, you can't have it loosey goosey. And anytime you let it go a little loosey goosey, nothing ever worked out. It was like a waste of time or it just didn't work out. So I don't have a specific time, Jonathan, but I think it was just a bunch of little ones that added up. And I'm like, you know what? Everything is so less stress with with like a really nice tightrope that I'm walking across. And if you can keep your tightrope tight, and I know you like to keep it tight, you're
Mhm.
good.
That's right. Hey, listen, I get no complaints. So now let me ask you this then. So now, had you always worked with accountants and teaching them the art of what it is that you do?
In the beginning, I was pretty broad and I knew I wanted to pick a niche, and being friends with Dominique and having so many enrollment calls with accountants. And my first job out of college was at Moss Adams, which is an accounting firm. And I always loved all the accountants and all the financial people, and everyone was so smart. And leaving the last business I had, I said, I really want to work with like a higher level person. I want to work with really intelligent people, super smart that, just have a hard time getting clients to actually pay them for their smartness. And so between all that, it just kind of landed in my lap, and I attracted it and it came to me, and here I am. But I love every minute of it, and I have so many smart friends. So with all these loans and things and what's the best way, I think one of the biggest things for you as an accountant, as CPA, as a tax attorney, is that most taxpayers are overpaying in tax, right?
Amen.
Or most business owners, I know Jacob doesn't like profit first, whatever, but if you get a business owner from the scratch starting using that system, they're going to have very few financial challenges. And most business owners aren't taught this stuff. Like, they want to just do their business. That's why they started. They're really good at it, but they need you as the foundation. And to be honest, you're like the number one go-to and most trusted advisor for most human beings walking around this planet. So I was like, you know what? This sounds like a good gig. And I've loved it ever since. I have a podcast called the Abundant Accountant Podcast. I do my sales calls and trainings. I've got accountability groups. I continuously do enrollment calls to stay at the top of my game, just like you're always doing your technical work to stay at the top of your game.
Yep.
And yeah, that's it.
Wow. So my friend Mika, she's actually joining us from Canada. She's phenomenal. So she says, question for you, Michelle, what are you most passionate about, your clients, and what was your biggest challenge and how did you handle it?
What were you most passionate about for your client? About your client?
Yeah, I think maybe that's what it. Yeah. What are you most passionate about?
I think my biggest, or what I'm most passionate about, is when I get like an email or whatever you texted me the other day. Okay. And if you want to pull up the text message, you can read it out loud. That is what fuels the fire. Like, I got an email today from Anna Barbara, and she was going to send a turn down email to a client. And she wrote me and said, hey, Michelle, Cameron's paying my package price. because he wanted a discount. And I said, okay, tell him, unfortunately, you're not going to be a good referral partner. And she had two other CPAs to send him. And she's like, I literally was getting ready to write it. And he sent me like, hey, can you, I'll pay you. I'm just going to pay your rates that you asked for. I was like, see, like that is the coolest thing. So for me, Mika, it's really the success in the clients that I work with. And I'm super committed to them. Like in all the sales classes that I've taught and all the people that I've worked with, there really has only been two people that haven't gotten the results. And they didn't make their binder, which means they didn't do their homework and turn it into me for me to edit it. And they didn't show up to most of the classes. So if you don't do that, yeah, it's not gonna work. So that's that. And my biggest challenge and how I handle it, I guess I don't know what you're talking about, but my biggest challenge, I don't really can't think of one right now.
And she was joining us late in the call, so she missed all the fun stuff, the juicy stuff, 40 minutes ago-ish.
Yeah, but she can go rewatch it. I'm sure you're gonna leave it up, but this was really fun, Jonathan. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. It's my pleasure. And, so this is a great, I don't know if you know this, but we kind of went through your binder. I'm just saying in this show, like we totally highlighted like all of the things about it.
Yeah. Well, you remember how long it took you to actually go do the work, and it's a process.
Yeah. Oh, it wasn't an overnight fix. It wasn't a pill you can just take, right? It really, like you just said a second ago, right? You put in the work, you put in the effort, and you get the results that you're looking for. Yeah. It's no different than us planners, right? It's no different when we say to a client, listen, we can help you save $30,000 tonight, overnight.
Yeah.
But you still have to go do your job. You still have to keep track of those records. You still have to go do the implementation. Right?
Yeah.
All we can do, like you just said, is say, look, here, baby, here's what I have to offer you. You can drink from it all day long. Am I right?
Yeah, that's 100% right. And I know Jacob he's got a lot of questions.
Jacob, I gotta bring him on. He's gonna be a guest on my show here another day. But what would your number one tip be for a turn down letter other than the other two pros?
So it's what I said earlier. You can just literally go read it word for word, but something along the lines of, Bob, I understand that the fee is a little high and you were looking for, the best price. I am very expensive and I don't do best price. And to be honest, for those just looking for a CPA based on price, we're probably not a good fit. So I wish you nothing but the best. I do have two other people I could refer you to if you can meet with them and see how you like them. I've heard great things, and they're probably not, the fees aren't like what I charge, but I know I can help you really reduce the taxes by $157,000 next year. I know I can really get this done, and we'll be meeting on a monthly basis so you never end up in the mess that you've been in, because it's costed you probably about $80,000. So again, with that being said, I wish you nothing but the best. Here's the two referrals, and have a beautiful day.
I love it.
Whatever, something like that.
I love it. You're truly standing in your ground at that point. You're truly standing in your power, and you're just like, yo. Okay. One last question, Jacob, and then she's got to go.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta go.
What would your number one tip be for an engagement to close the deal?
Show up with an invoice.
Yes, girl. Yes. Be ready to knock that sucker down.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. So in closing, I do want to say, Jacob, here's the honest truth. If you want to know more about those objections and how she helps you overcome them, not just you, Jacob, but my accounting buddies out there, if you want to learn, again, her objection formula, you want to learn her sales process, the tips that she's going to share with you, if you want to learn about, honestly, being able to stand tall and proud and stepping into your power of who you really are from a sales perspective. Like Michelle, I'm gonna tell you this right now, other than my current business coach, you were worth every dollar I invested with you. I want you to know that. I want the world to know that. I've come across many a coach in my lifetime. Many.
Yes,
And I
you
would
have.
say you by far are one of the coaches that I truly got my money back for the investment. You are the only one that I'm
A lot
aware of
more.
that gave me a product that I actually get to truly ultimately use day in and day out. You are worth it. And listen, my accountant friends, I know who you fools are. You're the ones that are always crying, complaining about this shit secretly to people. The thing is you need AA. You need Michelle. You need AA.
Hey, I love it.
You
That's
know,
awesome.
listen, girl, you got to run with it when you got to run with it, right? She's the AA counselor over here. She's going to help you to get over your addiction of low prices and giving away your information. This is
It's
what Michelle's
awesome.
about. So, Michelle, one last time, and I do apologize. I know we were having technical problems at the beginning of the show, but I want to bring on your website one more time and show the world. It's five steps to abundance. Did I spell that correct? I hope I did. 5 steps to
I
abundance.
think so.
I hope so.
Do you want
5
to go to it and see if it
to
works?
abundance. Did it work? I just said I was an English teacher, but you know when people laugh at me because I can't add fast enough, I go, I only play an accountant on TV. But I think that's
Yes,
good.
it works.
Yay. So listen, peeps, you're an accountant, you're an EA, you're a CPA, you're a tax attorney like my sexy Jacob.
12 Steps to AA is your next bestseller. That's so funny.
Yeah, he's on a roll. He's on a roll. I love it, Jacob. Yeah, you got to go ahead and check out Michelle. She really is it. She really is everything she says she is. And again, Michelle, thank you so much for being my guest. I really
Thank you for having me. And hopefully, some of these little things we spoke about you can implement and make a change. So, thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you. Toodles, noodles, manoodles. All right, so we're going to end the broadcast. Boom, 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 boom.